Alright, this tutorial is going to talk about how to input the writing sample data into our school-wide writing prompts. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to insert the names and set up your document for the new academic year. So you just find your grade level, then you're going to copy and paste the names from the year before. If you have new students, add a row, and if somebody's not in your class, you're going to delete that row. So I'll show you how to do those three things right now. So if I go to grade 6, notice that it starts at the top, 2013, then the next academic year, 14, 15, 16, and I'm going to pretend I'm in the 16, 17 area. So I will find all the students from the year before, copy them, and add them to this new year. It's best to do them alphabetically. If that's still an option for you. If they're already a mess, I just wouldn't worry about it. If you look on the bottom here, I have more students than I do already made row templates. That is very easy to copy the formatting and the formula over. You just select in the first box, scroll over to the last box, hold shift to select them all, and then here you get your cursor that will allow you to drag down the formula to the 2 rows, and that automatically moves down the formula for the averaging. If you have a new student in class, you can click anywhere and insert, right click and insert a row either above or below, add their details, and then you'll see that the average wasn't put in there, but the same thing you did in the beginning. Go ahead and select the first box all the way to the last box. Once you get this cross cursor, that can carry the formula down. If you have a student that is no longer at our school and they didn't start the year with us, you can just click on that row, right click, and delete that row. Alright, so that covers the first part of the instructions, just setting up your template. The next part I'm going to talk about is importing or inserting the grades for each category of the rubric. So our rubric has 4 parts: organization, content, style, fluency, and language use, and then there's a total. You don't actually insert that total. What you're inserting is the totals for each of the areas of the students' writing. So I'm going to show you how to enter all 4 of those, how to check your average column, what do you do with a student with no score. Something that K3 and grade 1 need to keep in mind is the NEC, not enough content, grade, and what if students leave mid-year. So I'm going to go back to my grade 6, and I'm going to start entering my school for the grader for organization. Maybe they gave them a 4, the second grader gave them a 3. That averages out to 3.5. But what happens if you enter that same thing and the average doesn't come? You'll have to input that formula manually by clicking equals and then start typing average. You'll see the shortcut right there. It is going to give you a parenthesis already. You just get to choose the 2 boxes that you want to average. 79, yep. And then close it with a parenthesis, enter, and it says 3.5 there. I'm going to do that one more time for you. Let's have a 4 and a 3 again. I just do equal sign, average. It gives me a parenthesis, first parenthesis already. I just have to click on the 2 boxes that I want and close it with a parenthesis, enter, and there's their average for you as well. If a student doesn't have a score, so here I can see that there is no score, so this div error is showing. Because of that error, my table actually will not calculate all the way through. So to fix that, you actually have to go through and type in NA, no score. For all the sections that they didn't get scored on. Once you do that for all of them, then your formula at the end will work. You can put the NAs here as well. If a student is in K3 or grade 1 and there's not enough content, you can simply say NEC. And again, it's important not to leave these the pound sign div, because that means that the table at the end will not average out. So you can see this one has none of those signs, so the table averaged out just fine. And then if a student leaves mid-year, what you're going to do is leave the scores in for the first part, and then do NEC, or no, I'm sorry, not NEC, NA for the rest of the year. Alright, that is how to input grades into each category. The next part is to check the average table to the right. The table over here to the right is averaging organization for the fall, winter, spring. Content for the fall, winter, spring. And then it turns it into this nice little graph over here. If you notice your averages are not correct, or there's nothing there at all, you can simply check the formula. And up here I have no formula, so I know I need to go through and do equal sign, average, and then again you select what you'd like to average. Now this time, instead of the 2 graders averaging 1 student, I'm going to average all of my student scores. So I'm selecting them all, and then finish that formula off with a parenthesis mark, push enter, and it changes that for you. So I can do the same thing here to make sure that it's correct. I'm just going to delete these. Oh, and that was fall, and I chose the wrong one, so I need to do that fall one again so I don't mess that up. So I'm doing fall, so I make sure I go to this maroon column and do equals average and select my fall. Still doing that wrong. My fall organization, and close it with a parenthesis mark. So there it was. Now I can do my winter organization if it's not correct. This is just fixing if it's not right, which they should be. And my winter organizations here, I select all the column and enter there. Should be fine. And then the spring, let's make sure that that's fine. So my spring organization is here. Select it. Let's try that one again. Equals average. Select all of this. Oh, I messed this one up. So equals average. And then the 2 here. And then I fixed both of those. Alright, so that's the average column. For the tables, it shouldn't be too hard. It's the same formula as the other one, but just repeat it with different data. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is how to check and create the bar graph of averages at the end of the year. I say to do this at the end of the year because if you do not have data for your winter or your spring, and then you add that data later, it's not going to create the next bar graph. But let me show you how that bar graph is created. So first I'm just going to delete this one so I can work with some real data. And all you need to do is select what you'd like to input, the data you want to show. I'm selecting all of these cells, insert, chart, and I'm doing a bar graph here. Now, what often can happen, so check all of this, go to customization, chart types. This is often switched on, switch rows to columns, and you can see that instead of fall, winter, spring, it's doing all of the organization, content, style, and fluency, and language use across. Uncheck that to make sure you have this right. Then go to customization. You need to fill out the chart title, which is academic year 2014 to 2015. And then there's one more thing that's a little bit annoying, which is the series. So I like to change the series to match the color here. So organization is blue, that's already good. Content is actually green over here, so I'm going to change the content to green. Style and fluency is actually red here, so I'm changing that to red. And my language use is yellow, so I'm going to change that to yellow. And then I insert that. Now you might notice that this one looks quite different, like there are quite large changes. That is because of the way that your horizontal axis is, or I'm sorry, your vertical axis here. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to put the minimum value to 0 and the max 4. This will bring my data just a little bit closer, and that's the same way that it was done ahead of time. So that is how you insert the graph at the end of the year. So I'm going to wait until this table is all done before I insert the graph for the 2015-16 academic year. Hope that was helpful. And again, the cheat sheet's on the front if you need any extra help.